We have the producers of the film, Meg Inman and Andee Ryder. Please come on up. And all the way from Japan, Nasubi.
The first question is for you, Nasubi. What do you hope that people take away and learn from the journey that we saw in this documentary, your story?
まずはまさか僕もこんなに感極まるとは思っていなかったんですけども、皆さんがすごくこの作品を見ていろんな感想を持ったと思うんですけども、こうして多くの方がスタンディングオベーションで最後今拍手くださったことにまず感謝したいと思います。
Thank you so much. I think, first of all, I was not expecting the response that we got, and I think everyone had many thoughts and feelings as you were watching the film, but at the end, when you gave such a great applause and so many people gave me a standing ovation, I just want to express my sincere gratitude.
で、本当はそういう映画は多分本に主人公が亡くなってから作られると思うんですけども、僕はまだ元気に生きているので、ぜひ皆さんにもこれからも応援していただきたいというか愛していただきたいなと思ってます。
I think for many people who are the subjects of documentaries, that doesn't happen until after they pass away. But I'm here alive and well with you all, and so I just want to continue to be here with you all and receive your love and love you all back.
でこの作品は正直ネガティブに捉えられがちかもしれないなっていうことは僕はすごく心配をしていて、確かに僕も本当に、検証生活をやっていた時は辛くて、何度も、自分で自ら命を絶とうって思ったこともあったぐらいだったんですけども、でもこうして電波少年がもう25年が経って僕が新しい人生を踏み出せているのも実は過去の辛い経験が僕をより強くしてで、いろんな経験を乗り越えた先に見えた景色を皆さんも一緒に見てほしいなっていうふうに、感じて、この作品を作るのにもちろんすごく葛藤というかもあったんですけども、クレアさんとなら、そういった作品が作れると思って、こうして、完成したことで皆さんがどう感じるのかは、すごく興味深いです。
I was very worried that the film would make people feel bad or that it would have negative feelings associated with it, but after these 25 years later, everything that I went through on Denpa Shonen, I feel like I have been able to enter a new life. And in the past, I had many painful, difficult experiences, but conversely, I've been able to overcome them and become a stronger person because of them. And now I'm here with you, with everyone, and I want to be able to look out on a new horizons and new things to see with everyone, and that's what we were thinking about as I participated in making this film, and that was what I really wanted to put forward with this film.
Thank you, thank you. My next question is for Claire, Megan, and Andee. What I can see what attracted you to the story because it's so wild, but there's a deep universality about this movie. I was wondering at what point did you perceive that? How universal and how how human this story was really.
I think it's one of those, as I said before, it's been a long journey with this film. and you start off feeling that it's definitely about one thing, and that kind of changes as you go along, and there's a lot of themes in there that are obvious about sort of morals about reality TV, about social media, about the world today, but I think one of the key themes that I feel this movie is about is a story of connection, and that kind of very personal journey of Nasubi's. But also, one of the things that I really love about this film is that everybody who watches it comes up to us afterwards and sort of says, "Oh, but this is a film about X," and we're like, "Oh, is it?" You know, and everybody has very specific ideas about what it means to them, whether they feel it's a film about consent or about exploitation or what, you know, and I quite love that. I love that about it.
Meg or Andee, anything to add?
Sure. So I actually grew up watching this TV show, and so when I first heard about Claire making this this documentary, and heard the backstory behind it, I guess I was completely my mind was blown, and as Claire said, it was Nasubi's personal journey that completely got me, and that was something that I knew had to be told. It wasn't just what you guys saw, what I saw on television. That was the truth. What was behind, and Nasubi's story behind it was what was needed to be told even more.
And then for me, it was Claire, and I've been working on it for a while with Nasubi and Meg, and they came and Claire showed me a teaser that wanted to work with us as a production company and help raise some finance for it. And what I saw in the teaser was a cinematic ambition to tell a whole story. It wasn't just about the TV show; it was to tell the aftermath and just, you know, how amazing a human being Nasubi was as well. And that's something I really responded to. And less of the sort of sensationalist angle, more of an elevated film, I suppose, and that attracted me. And of course, once meeting Claire, she's obviously great, and we just immediately got on, and so I wanted to work with her.
Thank you for those answers. So questions, who's got some questions? I see one right here.
Hi, for Nasubi, I want to ask, how were you able to navigate trusting people, but more specifically people in media and on this documentary team after your experience, and for the rest of the team, and Claire, how were you able to navigate earning Nasubi's trust after the whole experience?
So the questions about trust, how did Nasubi navigate trusting this new camera crew that came into his life, and also for the filmmakers, how did they earn that trust?
そうですね、映画でも言ってた、僕は一時期人間不信になったりとか、人間は怖いという意識が実はあって、人とコミュニケーションを取るのが難しい時期もあったりもしたんですけれども、でもクレアさんは本当にもう10年前ぐらいから実は声をかけてくださっていて、で僕は、検証生活が終わった後、いろんな海外のメディアから取材を受けたりっていうことが今まで何とかあったんですけれども、大体それやっぱ検証生活のことだけだったんですが、クレアさんの場合にはその先の、僕は福島県出身で、福島のためにいろんな活動をしていたり、それからエベレストにも挑戦していたっていうことも含めて作品にしたいって言ってくれたことが、僕のその検証生活のイメージだけじゃない、本当の僕のその自分のためじゃなくて人のために頑張ることで人は輝けるんだっていうことを描いてくれるというふうに思ったので、そうですね、日本語で言うとあれなんですけどね、騙すより騙される人間でいたいというか、そういうすごい正直な人間でいたいという気持ちがあったので、クレアさんと、作品を作ろうというふうに思いました。
Yes, that's a very good question. As you saw in the movie, after my experience on A Life in on Denpa Shomen, I temporarily lost my faith in humanity, and people were scary to me, and it was really hard to communicate. But I first heard from Claire about 10 years ago, and that's when we started talking. After Denpa Shonen, I did get interest from overseas media about my experience, but they were really just interested in the show. But you know, I'm from Fukushima, and since the earthquake, I've been doing many things to support Fukushima, including climbing Mount Everest. And so I'm more than just the TV show. And so when I talked to Claire, and I really saw that she wanted to put all of that into the movie, that she wanted to show all of my experience. And that's why I felt that I could work with her and I could trust her. In Japanese, we have a saying that it's better to be a person who is deceived than a deceiver. And so I thought, you know, I'd rather live my life like that.
So from my perspective, consent was very important from the start, and I was very honest with Nasubi about what I wanted to do. It was an ongoing discussion, and while Nasubi knew that he didn't have editorial control, we discussed, you know, most ideas with him, told him what we were doing, where we were going with different things. Quite early on, actually, we'd been back and forth, and we decided that we needed to make a taster. And Nasubi said that he was going to come to the UK on a holiday. So he came across on to the UK. We had this slightly crazy holiday in the Isle of Wight where, with Caroline San, you remember? And just got to know each other, playing ping pong and in a holiday chalet. And I think that's maybe where the relationship sort of developed. And it's, as Nasubi says, it's been probably 10 years of talking, and so that's where it all came from. That's, I think, how I won his trust.
Yeah, thank you for that question. How about right here?
Yes, it was wonderful. I'm curious how your being bullied as a child informed your strength and goodness in overcoming what seemed to be quite hurtful in many ways. And what would you say to children who are being bullied these days from what you've learned from where you're at now?
はい、僕の少年時代、そういう、顔の特徴で顔が長いっていうことでいじめられていたっていうことが非常に、僕にとっては、辛い経験ではあったんですけれども、今福島県内とか日本の中では僕が今回そのエベレストの経験、それから検証生活の経験も生かして、学校、例えば中学生とか高校生向けで講演会をすることがあったりするんですね。その時に、この自分の過去子供の頃いじめられた経験も含めて、でもそれを僕の場合にはたまたま日本のコメディアンで、すごく僕が、好きだったコメディアンの方何人かいて、志村けんさんとかっていう方がいたりもするんですけど、その人の顔真似をやったりしたら、今ちょっと一回そこで顔真似をやってみてもいいですか？
So, as you said, when I was a child, I was often bullied for my distinctive face, and that was very difficult. But in Fukushima and in Japan in general, I am now well known for climbing Mount Everest and for my experience in a life in prizes. And so I get the opportunity to be invited to schools to speak. And so there's a popular comedian in Japan called, his name is Shimura-san, and so I learned how to imitate his face, so I'll demonstrate that for you now.
すごい共通ですね。はい。これをやるとやっぱりこういうふうに僕のクラスメイトが笑ってくれて、あいつ面白いやつかもしれない。で、ちょっと友達になってみようかなってことでいじめが減って友達が増えたっていう経験があったんですよ。で、学校でも同じようにこの これをやると子どもたちも笑ってくれるんですね。そうするとこういうことで自分の、その、ウィークポイント弱点とかをストロングポイント自分の、チャームポイントにできることもありかもしれませんよっていうことを伝えると子どもたちもすごく納得してくれるというか、はい、それがすごく僕にとってもやっぱり今となってはその時の経験過去の経験が生きたなと思ってます。
So, you know, when I was a kid and I made that face of the very famous popular comedian to my classmates, just like all of you, they would laugh. And so then when I'm at the schools and I'm talking to the children, I do the same thing, and the school children still laugh. And I use that to illustrate to them that, you know, you can take things that are your weaknesses that and turn them into your strengths. And that is what my experience, I hope, is being communicated to the children.
Okay, so we have time for one last question. I'm going to go with you in the back, right there. Yes.
First, I thought the movie was fantastic, very inspirational.
Could you speak up a little?
Okay. I thought the movie was awesome, very inspirational, my question is, how did you go about finding all the awesome archival news clips?
How did you find all the archival footage? How did that come to you?
Is that who wants to?
Painful.
With a lot of pain. That's fair, isn't it? The archive has been one of the biggest challenges, I think, with this film, right up until the end, as it always is, right up to the wire. We had a fantastic archive researcher, Josh Treblecock, but also Meg has done an incredible job of helping with the Japanese archive as well. And
Can I say one thing about the archive? The reason why we have a lot of archive of Nasubi after he was on Denpa Shonen was because his mother taped every single thing that he appeared on in TV for the rest of his life. And so when we said we're looking for footage of Nasubi, literally boxes of VHS tapes were delivered to us, and then we had this huge task of going through everything, and so it's very much thanks to Nasubi's mother that we have such a rich film. Who is also here today.
Yes.
Thank you for coming to be with us. And you have some other people we want to acknowledge as well.
Also, Juliet, I think, who is probably more known to you as the BBC correspondent. No, where's Juliet? Juliet's here as well. Fabulous editor, Rachel.
レイチェルさんは僕の裸を一番見たイギリス人だと思います。
I think Rachel is probably the British person who has seen the most footage of me naked.
One more thing.
Of course,
just
yes.
on the archive as well, because we do acknowledge that Toshio as well was a big part, and getting the archive from Nippon was not really going to happen. I don't think they wanted it to give us it, but Toshio, he not someone who would necessarily directly apologize, but that was his way of recognizing what he had done in the past was wrong, and he made allowed us to get the footage from Nippon by basically twisting their arm. So thank you to Toshio, because we wouldn't have been able to make this film without him as well.
Thank you. Nasubi, thank you for journeying from Japan to share your story with us. You've opened my heart and raised my spirits with your sharing your story, so thank you so much. And thank you to Meg, Andee, Claire for sharing this great film.